Good morning. Hello, Facebook Live. Hello, Instagram. Marcus here, your chef on a mission. We're talk about one of my favorite vegetables today, and it's in season locally. Super excited about this vegetable. This vegetable is asparagus, and it is in season locally here. I'm going to talk about some amazing facts about asparagus, of why you should be eating asparagus. Some of the many health benefits of asparagus. So if you are tuning in live, by the way, just drop a comment, hashtag live. If it's on the replay, hashtag replay. I know if you're tuning in live, it's early in the morning. I'm here in my office at the restaurant, getting some work done. It is Friday, May 7th. So hello to everybody tuning in, and hopefully the notification will go out to announce this. Um, so, I'm going to talk about asparagus and the amazing, amazing, amazing health benefits of asparagus. It's truly a superfood. Just a lot of really awesome things with asparagus and consuming asparagus. So, let's see. There's Mother's Day weekend coming up here at the restaurant. Just waiting for a few more people to log on here. I know it's early. Um, and just waiting for a few more people to log on. Got a couple people over on Instagram, so good morning to everybody. A few people logging on Facebook. There goes my notification, so more people should be tuning in now. So I'll just start in a moment here. Just go over a little bit about Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is this weekend. We're offering mimosa kits and bagels and bagels from H&H Bagels, organic cream cheese, all kinds of cool things. We'll have a list posted, and then we're open regularly at 3 o'clock on Mother's Day. It will be busy, and we have limited tables, and especially if it's not nice outside, we can't use outdoor dining, so make a reservation. Please, please, please make a reservation if you're coming in for Mother's Day. Make a reservation any day, but especially Mother's Day. So, asparagus season. So, as a chef, I wait for asparagus season every year, especially as a farm-to-table chef. I really, really love asparagus, and typically we only serve asparagus when it's local, New Jersey, New York, upstate New York. So we kind of follow the season from Jersey all the way up to through the Finger Lakes. And of course, Jersey is a little ahead of the Hudson Valley, and Hudson Valley is a little ahead of the Finger Lakes. Not by much; it all happens very quickly. So at Aroma Time, we only serve asparagus while it's in season locally. That means from New Jersey all the way up to the Finger Lakes. We used to serve it a lot more on our menu. A few years back, I said, you know what? Let's just go all in on asparagus during asparagus season here, and just have it all over our menu and enjoy it and do that. So that's what we've been doing. So I've been watching our distributors and our farm hubs very carefully for the last probably 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I've been going on every other day and typing in local asparagus and seeing what's popping up. Last week, all my one distributor had was California asparagus. I noticed this morning online when I was placing a couple of my orders this morning that local asparagus just popped in. And so we have it coming tomorrow here at the restaurant, and we'll get that on the menu and make an appetizer with it and do some stuff with it. Local asparagus is more expensive. It's 30. Well, gee, for a regular case of asparagus, it's $57 right now, and for Jersey asparagus, it is $90 a case. So it's a little over $30 more a case. The price will come down as the season progresses, but the season happens very quickly. We literally have a 3 to 4 week window right now. We'll have asparagus, and then that's it for local asparagus. So that price will come down a little bit, but not much. Local asparagus does cost more. It's not being mass cultivated in California, and it's local, and we're supporting great local farms. So asparagus is a 2,000-year-old vegetable, first cultivated in the way eastern part of the Mediterranean. Asparagus is actually part of the lily family, and you can plant asparagus at your house, and it takes 2 years, I think, 2 years for you to really get a crop. But it just comes back like clockwork every single year. Every single year it comes up, it's back like clockwork. So I know a lot of people here in the Hudson Valley who have asparagus beds and love it. So, some impressive facts about benefits. I'm on a website called organicfacts.net, I use this site from time to time to get some information. So this article is the 17 impressive benefits of asparagus. Now, to cook asparagus, this article isn't talking about cooking asparagus, but to cook asparagus, it's super simple. Um, Cook it very quickly, boiling water, little salt, that's it. In and out of water. You could grill it if you wanted to. You could roast it if you want to. Roast asparagus is great. Some people say you can eat it raw. Certain health experts say no, don't eat it raw. You need to actually cook it to break down, to activate the enzymes, and help it help digest it. So it depends on who you're listening to on the raw versus cooked. You could slice it up really thin and marinate it in a little bit of acid, like lemon juice or a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some olive oil, and that vinegar will break it down and act like it's being cooked as well, just like what happens with ceviche, raw fish that you put acid on, like vinegar or lemon juice or lime juice. It binds the proteins and goes through a mock cooking process. So asparagus, you can do that as well too. This is basically what cabbage is. Cabbage, when you make coleslaw, you're adding vinegar, which will break it down. Then of course you're adding sugar and you're adding mayonnaise. But the vinegar in the coleslaw is what actually breaks it down. So, all right. So 17 impressive benefits of asparagus. So this article says it belongs to the lily family. There's over 300 different species that exist all over the world. Now, there is a such thing as white asparagus, and there's such thing as purple asparagus. Purple asparagus is having a different pigment than the green, grows a little smaller. The white asparagus, which is famous coming from Holland, it comes from California too, but white asparagus is they've actually starved it of sunlight so it doesn't go through the photosynthesis process. So they mound it up and it grows in the dirt and then they harvest it. I don't know. So the health benefits I'm going to talk about don't pertain to the white asparagus. The magic happens when things absorb the sunlight and they go through the photosynthesis process. That's where magic happens in the plant world. So if it's not saying that things that grow underground aren't beneficial, because they are, like potatoes, carrots, right, beets, but in a case like this, asparagus are meant to grow above the ground and do their magic. So what I'm going to read now to you is not pertaining to white asparagus. I don't really have the nutrition and the facts on white asparagus, so I really can't comment 100% on that. But the magic happens with the chlorophyll and the sunlight. Let's see. Okay. So, asparagus nutrition facts. It's a great source of vitamins and minerals and essential proteins. It is rich in vitamin A, vitamin B, which is thiamine, vitamin B12, riboflavin, vitamin B3, niacin, vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, vitamin B6, folate, vitamin C, vitamin E, alpha tocopherols, vitamin K. The mineral treasures that are stored include iron, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, manganese, zinc, selenium, and potassium. Asparagus also contain a very low amount of calories with no cholesterol and is low in sodium as well. Along with this, it is also a rich dietary fiber, which is essential for the body. All right, so so benefit number 1, maintains homocysteine. Homocysteine is a key factor in heart health. Homocysteine and C-reactive protein. Whenever I go get a blood test from my doctor, these aren't standard, by the way, homocysteine and C-reactive protein. These are really key indicators on your heart health, and for some reason, they just don't. There's some reason is probably there's no drugs to treat it, so they're not testing it. And the real thing with homocysteine, high levels of homocysteine, is you have to change your diet. You have to eliminate meat. You have to eliminate certain foods in your diet to lower your homocysteine. So maybe that's why they don't test for it, because there's really no drug for it. You have to do the work on your own. But homocysteine and C-reactive protein, don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. Do some research. Your doctor might tell you, well, it's not necessary to test for that. It is necessary. Look it up. Do your own research and understand it. Some doctors do know about it. C-reactive protein is actually the inflammation of your blood, which can be very deadly, right? So inflammation of your blood can lead to more heart attacks than anything. So, maintains homocysteine levels. Asparagus is rich in B vitamins that help maintain healthy levels of homocysteine, which is produced in the blood when an amino acid, methionine, breaks down in the body. Vitamin B, especially folate, and B12 play key roles in converting homocysteine into cysteine, which then gets converted back into methionine per the normal methylation cycle. A deficiency of vitamin B in the body also can cause levels of homocysteine and increase the risk of damage to blood vessels. This goes on and on here. Let's see. Benefit number 2, helps in pregnancy. The high folate content of asparagus aids in reducing the dangers of low birth rate and defects during pregnancy. Folate is essential for growth of the fetus. It also helps in reducing the complication of edema and or retention of water. So folate, most doctors will tell you very open about folate and vitamins during pregnancy, and folate is really a key vitamin. Fights PMS. Asparagus extract can be used effectively for easing premenstrual bloating. The presence of essential nutrients helps to combat depression and fatigue, as well as reduce menstrual cramps. And of course, everything in this article is footnoted here and cited what studies they're using or referencing. It also helps controlling blood loss and maintaining hormonal balance during menstruation. Reduces blood pressure. Asparagus is a common vegetable long used as herbal medicine. In fact, 2,000 years ago, they were using it as an herbal medicine before they were using it as food. So just FYI. It is saying hello to people on Instagram. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hello on Facebook. Talking about asparagus, going through the benefits of asparagus and why asparagus is so healthy. It is in season locally now. It just started in New Jersey. We're bringing it to the restaurant here. It comes tomorrow. Our first batch. I've been monitoring very carefully the farms, and New Jersey asparagus is in season. It'll move to New York probably within another week or two, and then head up into the Finger Lakes. So we will be having a lot of asparagus on our menu. We typically only buy it when asparagus is in season locally and have it on our menu. Just going over the health benefits and the history of asparagus. Asparagus it's really one of those superfoods. You get so much more in asparagus per other foods. Really, really, really beneficial health-wise. And a lot of people don't consume it because it makes your pee smell. So a lot of people are like, I don't want my pee to smell, so they don't consume it. That should not be the reason you're not consuming asparagus. You should have a real allergy to leeks or onions. If you have an allergy to leeks or onions, you should not be consuming or go with caution with asparagus. Reduces blood pressure. Common vegetables used as herbal medicine. It is effective in eradicating a plethora of health-related problems, according to a study of the Journal of Traditional and Complementary Medicine. The bottom stem consumption of asparagus significantly reduced the subject's systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Okay. Infertility improves fertility. The root of asparagus is widely appreciated in Ayurvedic therapy and is famously known as Shatavari, which means the one who has 100 husbands. Shatavari has aphrodisiac properties and is used to regulate the hormones and cure male and female sexual disorders. It has an anti-anxiety properties and helps in curing physical and mental in males, also enhancing libido, sperm count, and mortality. In females, asparagus has been proven effective in menopausal syndromes and anemia. So we're talking about the root of asparagus. People know asparagus as an aphrodisiac, as a possible aphrodisiac, but here they're actually saying it's the root of the asparagus. Improves digestion. Asparagus contains a significant quantities of the nutrient inulin. Inulin is the kind of complex carbohydrate known as a prebiotic. Now, inulin fiber, is also what is in agave. Agave has inulin fiber, so this is why they're saying agave is a good sweetener, because the inulin in it. And the brand of stevia that we use the green packet Sweet Leaf. Sweet Leaf actually buffers their stevia with inulin fiber to help. So back to the stevia. You have to, when you buy stevia in the store in those packets, that's not pure stevia you're getting. Stevia is so strong. Like if you were to buy commercial stevia extract, if you're let's say you're making beverages, let's say you're an iced tea company and you're buying stevia to sweeten all your tea, you're literally going to pay for the pure stevia. And I was talking to somebody who was doing this just last week, who's making canned beverages, and they're using stevia. $600 a kilo for stevia. Now that is the pure stevia. All right. When you go to the store to buy those packets of stevia, it's not pure stevia. There's a buffering agent in there. A lot of times there's dried and powdered corn syrup as a buffering agent in there. It's not going to say it on the label because they're not required to put that in there, but they have to buffering agent. If you were to consume straight stevia, you would know it and you wouldn't like it, and it would be disgusting. A lot of people don't like stevia to begin with because it's not a full rounded sweetener. It's very shallow on the palate. But if you blend, I suggest if you want to start using stevia, you blend stevia with cane juice, cane sugar, or you blend it with preferably coconut sugar, so you can add more of the complex flavors, more of the roundness, and then you buffer. So you go back and forth like half and half or something. But be careful when you use stevia to begin with, and be careful with the brand you're buying of stevia. So the sweet leaf is buffered with inulin fiber. So asparagus has inulin fiber, which is a complex carbohydrate commonly known as a prebiotic. It does not get digested until it reaches the large intestine, where it is fed upon by a kind of good bacteria, lactobacillus. Inulin aids in the absorption of nutrients. It is also a good provider of dietary fiber and has laxative properties that helps maintain a smooth and functioning bowels, keeping bloating and constipation at bay. Along with healthy digestion, fiber also helps in lowering the cholesterol levels of the body and is widely recommended in Ayurvedic therapy for the effectiveness of curing diarrhea, dysentery. This article goes on. There's a lot of really great stuff in this article, and it's on organicfacts.com. So I'm just summarizing each one. Anti-cancer potential. Now, asparagus, cabbage, broccoli, these cruciferous types of vegetables, cauliflower. There is an insane amount of research out there on the anti-carcinogen properties of these vegetables. So they're just listing one study here. According to a study published in Cancer Letters, crude saponins found in the shoots of asparagus have exhibited anti-tumor activity. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Functional Foods also touted that saponins induced typical features of I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, apoptosis. The takeaway from the study could potentially dietary intervention human colorectal cancer. Furthermore, asparagus helps in elevating levels of glutathione, an antioxidant and detoxifying compound. So you can go on and find some really legitimate studies on asparagus, and especially those other vegetables that I mentioned, especially broccoli, like indole 3 carbinol, which is in broccoli. There's studies out there that proves it's more effective than tamoxifen, the drug indole 3 carbinol, which is in broccoli. And if you go to alternative health clinics for cancer, they will really get you on a lot of these vegetables, and tons of other things. Just, it's never one thing that you do in your health, right? It's never really one thing that destroyed your health. It's never one thing that's going to cure your health, right? To bring you back to health. It's typically a combination of the majority of things that you do. So, of course, fruits and vegetables are an essential part of your diet, and these specific vegetables here are very, very, very good. And there's lots and lots of really good studies out there. If you go to PubMed.com, they're really great. It's the official government's website. So if you want to ever argue with your doctor on something, you go to PubMed and say, this is the official government website. Here's what it says about whatever drug or whatever about this or whatever about that. Here's what it says. This is the official stuff. So if you're not on board with it, maybe you should read it, doc. Don't get into too much of an argument with your doctor. You should pick a doctor that believes in what you believe and that could support you for your choices. A lot of doctors are stuck in a strict medical paradigm, and they follow that, but there's answers all over the board. And again, it's just not one thing. It's a combination of doing everything. A lot of things you do in your lifestyle. So a lot of people say to me, well, gee, I eat so healthy, or this person ate so healthy, and they're eating chicken that's loaded with arsenic, they're eating cheap chicken, they're eating cheap eggs, they're eating all this inexpensive, cheap, manufactured food, but because you think it's protein, or you think that it's an egg, or you think this is that, you think that, oh wow, this is a healthy diet. And in reality, the food pyramid is probably the worst thing to follow, the USDA food pyramid, because special interest groups were on the board and got their products in there. Harvard came out with a food pyramid back in 2000. I want to say 2001, right before Thanksgiving, week before Thanksgiving, they came out with their food pyramid, which was tested, several different food pyramids tested for a decade with thousands and thousands of people. And Harvard Nutrition, the nutrition division there, came up with what they thought was a proven health, a proven food pyramid, and it's totally different than our USDA food pyramid. Totally different. So you can look that up. It's out there. It's online. So the nutrition school at Harvard did that. So it helps in weight loss. Um, let's see. Anti-diabetic properties, as per a 2012 study published by the British Journal of Nutrition, asparagus extract has anti-diabetic properties and improves insulin secretion. Also another rat study published in the Indian Journal of Experimental Biology. Asparagus improves diabetic neuropathy. So, relieves hangovers. Asparagus extract contains essential amino acids that may prove effective in curing hangovers. A hangover refers to an unpleasant psychological effect caused due to substantial consumption of alcoholic drinks. Eye care. Asparagus is also a good source of vitamin A. Good source of vitamin A. Due to the presence of antioxidants, it helps in defending the retina from damage caused by the oxygen-free radicals. Presence of amino acids, glutathione. It also helps in reducing the risk of eye ailments, cataracts, and night blindness. Um, Thank you. I just got a comment. Please slow down. Jamie's usually on the other side of the desk here, and she's like this to me sometimes because I tend to go fast sometimes. So thank you for reminding me of that. Jamie's not here in the office, but Jamie's behind me all the time. Like she'll go like this and slow down. So I apologize if I was going too fast. Treats rheumatism. Rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic condition that causes inflammation to the joints. Studies have shown that the consumption of folate-rich foods like asparagus, which possesses anti-inflammatory properties, may help relieve the pain and ease overall poor functioning of the body associated with arthritis. Rich in rutin. Asparagus is also rich in rutin, a flavonoid that possesses anti-inflammatory properties and is used to treat hemorrhoids and prevent clotting of blood. It enhances capillaries, strengthens blood vessels. Rutin also prevents hardening of the arteries. So, and there's several references on that. What was I going to say? Inflammation. Curcumin is like a major thing for inflammation. There's lots of great positive studies. If you're athletic, if you're going to the gym, if you're concerned with injuries and stuff, curcumin extract. I might even have a bottle. No, I don't have a bottle here. Curcumin, a lot of people are using curcumin. Look up curcumin if you want anti-inflammatory properties. The same thing with curcumin's an active ingredient in turmeric. Turmeric being that yellow spice, the yellow root. Super good. And then maca has some great anti-inflammatory properties too. Maca being Peruvian horseradish. It grows at 10, 11,000 feet in Peru and that part of the world, and it is super charged food. Maca, and maca's really amazing. You don't really cook with maca. This is a supplement that you take, but it is technically Peruvian horseradish. They also call it Peruvian Viagra. It's nicknamed Peruvian Viagra. Neuroprotective properties. Studies have provided evidence that asparagus is effective in reducing the risk of diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease. These beneficial are attributed in the presence. Okay, so it lists some studies. And again, folks, it's just not one thing that you do in your health. It's a combination of everything. I think some people read, and my mom was guilty of this. They read something and it says, "Oh, this food is good for cancer, preventing cancer," and then they go all in on one food and they don't realize that they're still sticking their phone up to their head and charging their brain. They don't realize where they're sleeping in their room. They don't realize that they're in front of a computer all day and that walking barefoot is essential outside to reground yourself. They don't realize that they should stop eating fried chicken in bad peanut or soy oil that has hexane gas in it, with chicken that's loaded with arsenic that's produced whoever knows where. So they read things and they think to go all in on one thing. There's really no silver bullet. It's a combination of doing everything again, and I can't repeat that enough. Um, it's everything you do, majority of everything you do in your lifestyle. Okay, you can't say I'm going to eat asparagus to be healthy and then go eat donuts, right? So relieves depression. Scientific research has shown the efficacy of asparagus as an anti-anxiety and depressant drug. It helps enhancing memory, increases the production and secretion of estrogen, and has revitalizing and calming effects on the nervous system. Gives relief of epilepsy symptoms. Um, so there's a thing on there on that. Treats urinary tract infections. That was new for me. So they show that asparagus. A lot of people take cranberry for UTIs. Um, Cranberry juice. There's a better thing that I'll think of it. I'm just having a brain lapse on what's good for UTIs. We usually keep a bottle of it handy, or in our vitamins. Um, Urinary tract infections. Research studies show that asparagus poses anti-urothic effects, which helps treat UTIs due to vegetable diuretic properties. The consumption of asparagus increases the frequency and volume of urination. This helps detoxify and flush the toxic waste out of the body. According to research, we attribute the presence of antioxidants, essential vitamins C and E. So I do know that is very helpful in UTIs to keep drinking a lot of water. I actually had a UTI. I know it's rare for males, but I had one, years and years ago, and I was actually running a race, and I was running an 18-mile race. 19-mile race was a 30K, and I got online in the morning to run that race. It was with my son, Justin. Justin was like 8 years old, 9 years old at the time. We were running the King of the Mountain series here in the Hudson Valley, and it was like the one race I needed to do to get this massive trophy with Justin 2 months later. And Justin was the first person under 10 years old to even do this. So I was feeling terrible, and I got on the line. It was a little snowy that morning, and getting ready to run 30K, 19 miles, and I had a UTI, and I was in a lot of pain, and I was teaching Justin a lesson at the time, like, no matter how you feel, just show up, because you never know what's going to happen. Just show up, right? And I didn't know what was going to happen that day. 5 hours later, I crossed the finish line. He crossed the finish line in 3 hours. But I remember the key for me getting through that was drinking much more water than normal. Then that alleviated the pain, and I just drank tons and tons and tons and tons of water, and that really, really helped. And I just took the race slow, and I ended up in April, or it was actually, the race was in February, into February, beginning of March. I ended up in September. The last race, the fifth race, Justin and I got these massive, massive, big trophies. The trophy's half the size of him because he was only like 8 years old at the time. And just show up and do it and see what happens. I had no idea what was going to happen that day. Maintains blood cholesterol levels. Studies have supported the fact that the wealth of antioxidants in asparagus has a potential to treat oxidative stress along with other disorders. Disease indicates presence of blood pressure, blood cholesterol levels. Then it goes on to the use of the culinary uses, which you can make pickles, grilled, roasted, which I talked about a little earlier. Side effects may cause gas. Pregnancy and lactation. Asparagus alters the hormonal balance and has been traditionally used for birth control. In the beginning, it said for something different. In the beginning, it said about fertility, so it kind of contradicts itself there. I saw that when I glanced over the article. Allergic reactions can cause allergies to people who are susceptible to allergic reactions in onions, leeks, and other members of the lily family. So that's important to know. Asparagus does contain purine, so if you are gout or kidney stones, definitely proceed with caution. So, asparagus, amazing, amazing vegetable. It's in season locally right now. It just started hitting the Jersey farms, the southern Jersey farms. We have our first batch of asparagus coming in tomorrow here at the restaurant. We're super excited. We only bring in asparagus when it's available seasonally from New Jersey all the way to upstate. California asparagus has been in season a while. It is a premium for local asparagus. I mentioned that earlier. Right now, local asparagus is costing me. It's costing me $90 a case. I could buy the same size case from California for $57. So $57 to $90. I think it's well worth it to support local, and I'm happy to support local. It's a lot fresher of a product. One thing people don't realize when you buy, like when you go to Walmart or any store and you buy 1 pound of prepackaged spinach, there's not a pound of spinach in that container. There's not. It started out as a pound, but when it was picked in Arizona or California or Mexico, when it was picked and packaged, it was weighed. Then it was shipped, and it could take 2 weeks by the time you pick it up off the shelf. As an experiment, next time you go buy spinach in a retail store, look at the code on there, call the company or go online calling and see match that code up to when it was picked. And it's probably 10 days to 2 weeks old, but it looks great because it can last that long. Produce, if you keep lettuce dry, it'll last for 30 days. And in the book on food and cooking by Harold McGee, and Shirley Carrere has one, Food Science or Food Wise or something. They both talk about, and I've done guest chefs with both of those, Shirley Carrere and Harold McGee. I've met both of them and done cooking things with them. Um, they're very adamant that you keep your greens, your lettuces, your spinach, totally dry and airtight. They'll last 30 days, and you don't think of picking a head of lettuce and keeping it for 30 days in your refrigerator, but it's already been kept for 10 to 14 days in the storage, warehouse, transportation before you actually pick it up in the store. So of that 1 pound that was packaged in Arizona or Mexico, wherever it was packaged 2 weeks prior, it weighed a pound at the time. But once it hits the final destination, there is evaporation, a little bit of drying of the product. You will find that 1 pound might only be 9/10 of a pound. You'll lose 10-15%, sometimes very, very easily on that. So this is why when you're buying local products are picked right then and there. They are more nutritious. They weigh more. You get a better value. So you can never go by the price tag itself. All right, you can never go by saying, "Oh, this spinach is $5 a pound. This spinach is the local spinach is $6 a pound." Because if you're buying local, you're probably paying the same price when you actually look at it per pound. So local is the way to go. So we're getting local asparagus. It's $33 more a case, but I don't mind paying that and supporting local farms. It'll be in the Hudson Valley very soon. We'll get it from the local farm hub. We use two great farm hubs here in the Hudson Valley. One's Farms to Table, and they will deliver it to your house, Farms to Table. Farms, the numeral 2 tables. They have these boxes, produce boxes and everything, local boxes, that they will deliver to you, to the home consumer. So you can get on their website and check things out. We have a wholesale account with them. It connects us right to all the farms in the Hudson Valley. We use them every single week for tons of stuff. Really, really cool, exciting stuff. We're still getting local apples from the Hudson Valley. Honeycrisp apples, we're still getting that on a weekly basis from them, and a bunch of other things. Meats, cheeses, lots of types of produce, lots of herbs, things like that come in every week from them. So really happy that we have that resource here and such rich farmland here in the Hudson Valley. And if you like asparagus, it's easy to grow yourself. There's not much maintenance to do on it. Once you plant it, the first year or so you won't be able to harvest it, but I think within 24 months, 2 years, you'll be able to reap the benefits and save some money. So that's super simple to do. I should probably have asparagus planted here. Not that I could grow enough of it to really do anything, but it looks nice and it's nice to have. So asparagus, it'll be on our menu here tomorrow. It'll be in tomorrow. Mother's Day is this weekend. We will have some stuff for Mother's Day. We're open at 3 o'clock. We're not doing brunch this year. We just can't fit enough people into the restaurant. If it's a rainy day, I only have 7 tables in the restaurant. And to open up for brunch, which is a lower priced meal to begin with, and bring staff in and all that kind of stuff, it's not that profitable with only 7 tables. If I had 20 tables, like we used to have, 18 tables like we used to have when we did pre-pandemic without social distancing, and then it'll be a lot easier to make money, but it's hard to make money. So we're giving everybody off until 2 o'clock on Mother's Day. especially Michelle in our kitchen, who is a mother herself. She has 2 kids, so she'll get to enjoy it with her mother and her kids, and then come in a little later that day. So, and then of course, I'm not sure what Jamie and I are doing in the morning, but we'll enjoy our morning together too, and maybe go on a hike or something. So that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't see any comments on Facebook. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer now. Let me just see if I can go up. William Wilson, how much and how often do you need to start for its benefits? So that's a great question, William. How much do you need to eat to start the benefits of it? So, when you consume food, so if you're out consuming donuts, your cells are going to know right away on a cellular level, hey, I'm eating donuts, this isn't good. I've got to alter how we're handling this environment. When you put something positive in, your cells know right away that, hey, this is good. This is promoting life. It's life or death. It's life or death when it comes to cells on a cellular level, right? Equilibrium is really not something that's happening. The cells either know growth or death, and we have so many cells that are growing or dying, right? So the more bad stuff you put in, the more they're going to die. The more good stuff you put in, the more they're going to live and say, oh, this is great. Marcus is really rewarding us today and giving us some stuff we can work with today. So you can start ingesting things right away that start making a benefit. But really, to make true health changes, you need to compound the foods, you need to compound the actions, and take this over a long time. But it's like taking vitamins. You take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C right now, it's going to benefit you, right? But if you take 3,000 milligrams a day every day for 3 months, then you're going to have obviously much more. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not giving advice. I'm just giving a scenario of things here. So you would benefit more from 3 months of doing the vitamin C at higher levels. Now, when you look at the nutritional RDAs, the recommended daily allowances, I feel, and so do a lot of other health people in the health field, that those are really numbed down. Like they say 500, I don't know what they say for vitamin C every day. Something like insanely like small, like I don't know, 200 milligrams or something, 100 milligrams, whatever, something. That's so cereal companies can put on their label, 100% of the daily vitamin B and this, 100% of this, 100% of that. That's so manufacturers and food companies can actually meet those guidelines. Those RDA suggestions are not really for true health. This is what a lot of health professionals think. And if you do see the work of Linus Pauling, he had some amazing studies on vitamin C at mega dosing. So, there's fine lines on certain things to overdo and not overdo. And again, it's a combination of that. So, but on a cellular level, as soon as you ingest something, your body knows, the cells know right away, good or bad. So really, anything you put into your mouth every day, they know. You start drinking a soda, your cells know, oh my gosh, tons of acid, tons of chemicals, all this sugar, what's going on? We're getting bombarded, right? So eating food is one of the most intimate things you will ever do, because what you eat assimilates into your body. It becomes you. It becomes your blood. It becomes your cells. It becomes part of you. So eating is very, very, very what am I trying to say? It is you. You are what you eat. So it is. Your cells appreciate every good thing you put into your body. So that's the story with that. But that's a great question, William. So it's really hard to get a straight answer from an MD sometimes, medical doctor, on nutrition, because they really don't go through nutrition. You need to go through a nutritionist that has hopefully not been influenced by the Dietetic Association, because they're funded by Coca-Cola, they're funded by Pepsi, they're funded by the beverage industry like that. In the tune of $4 to $5 million a year, they get funding from food processors that are making ultra processed foods like sodas and potato chips. That's where they get their funding from. So, it's kind of tricky sometimes. I got into an argument. A friend was in the hospital at Westchester, and trying to get corn syrup out of the food that this person was getting. And the head nutritionist came to the room, and they didn't want me to bring in kombucha, which is a fermented fungus, very very good for digestion. They would want me bringing kombucha into the hospital. And I'm like, what are you talking about, kombucha? Like, what do you mean? Well, it's not approved, this and that. You don't bring it into the hospital. Make sure this person's not getting it. I'm like, whoa. And then we had a conversation about corn syrup. And this one was arguing with me. The head nutritionist at Valhalla, at the hospital in White Plains, was arguing with me, saying that there's no difference between a pear and a spoonful of corn syrup. She claimed there's no difference in this. And I said, you're very, very, very wrong in this. And we got to an argument. And I said, your degree is worthless. Coca-Cola and Pepsi funded your degree. Your degree is worthless. A pear has enzymes. A pear has fiber. A pear has a lot more going on than a spoonful of corn syrup. She said it's the same effect on the body. I said it is not. It is totally not. This is the mentality that they're taught in these, because they're answering to Coca-Cola, Pepsi, the beverage manufacturers, all these corporations, all these industries that fund them. They have to go with their guidelines. That's why they're in the funding game, right? That's why these companies know that it's so crucial to influence somebody like the head of nutrition at a very well-respected hospital, to influence that person and to brainwash that person into thinking. So I'm like, so you're going to give him corn syrup, and you think that a pear they're both the same, a pear and a corn syrup? And her and I got into a heated debate about this. I basically said, your degree is worthless. Your degree is absolutely worthless if this is the mentality, what you're doing. So you really have to get a holistic nutritionist, somebody who understands that food, and Cindy's saying food is medicine. Food is medicine. You are what you eat. Food is medicine. A lot of people get into their health conditions because they've made terrible choices in their diet. And what we think is terrible to this nutritionist is not terrible. So corn syrup and pear is the same exact thing, right? So a lot of people think, well, I've eaten healthy for so long, not realizing that the food in the grocery stores, like when you go buy whole wheat flour, for example, in a store, you buy King Arthur 5-pound whole wheat flour, even if it's organic whole wheat flour, that flour is rancid. It was milled how many months ago it was stored. It was, who knows how it was, where it was stored, temperature control, things like that. But it was broken down and processed. It was milled way too long ago, and it's totally rancid. The vitamin E, it's rancid. But people are like, oh, this is healthy. It might have more fiber, and it might have more certain things than white flour that's sitting there rancid. But really, if you truly want to eat healthy and bake healthy and use healthy flour, you're going to call Don Miller over at Wild Hive in Dutchess County, and you're going to buy his flour that is micro milled in small batches. That's milled every week. And when you contact him, he's going to ask you, well, how much are you going to use in the next month? Because I'm only going to sell you a month's worth of flour. And he understands that the rancidity of the flour is causing health issues with people, and even pushing celiac to the next level. So, a celiac's not going to react the same to rancid flour as the fresh flour. They might not be able to handle both, but the rancid flour is a totally different situation than the freshly milled organic flour and things like that. So people just think that, oh, I've eaten healthy for so long, I'm not really putting a thought process into what am I really eating. Like, we stopped using sunflower oil. We were using sunflower oil to cook with. We stopped using sunflower oil because sunflower oils, seed oils, are not good for male testosterone. If I'm eating the food all the time, and I would use coconut oil sometimes for myself and other oils, but we really switched over to a rice bran oil. And we use several different oils depending on what we're doing. But sunflower oil, seed oils, those aren't good for testosterone. So, if you are a male at home and experiencing issues, and you're sitting there and cooking with seed oils and think you're I'm not cooking with butter because there's no cholesterol, I'm not cooking with this and that, but I'm using these oils to cook with. There's everything makes a difference along the way. So it's just never one thing, right? It's never one thing. Like I said before, it's a combination of everything. And honestly, it is a full-time job to understand what's going into your body. because of all the misinformation in the grocery stores, all the misinformation with the manufacturers, all the misinformation that doctors are giving out. Like, oh, like most doctors will tell you, oh, you can eat that, it's okay. You can eat that, it's okay. There's going to be very few doctors you go to and say, okay, you need to start eating juicing kale. You need to wake up in the morning and have fresh kale juice. You need to eat more cucumbers. You need to make sure your tomatoes are organic. You need to make sure you're eating asparagus. This is in season here, and this and that. You need to make sure you're eating a lot of greens, a lot of beans, a lot of onions, a lot of mushrooms. That one doctor calls them G bombs. The one medical doctor, greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, and spinach or something. He's eat the G bombs. So a lot of doctors aren't having that conversation with people. They're telling you, oh, you need to eat better. You need to eat healthier. A lot of doctors say, yeah, you need to eat healthier, but they're not actually saying what to do healthier. So if you see the books behind me here, I have many more books all around. I was frustrated as a young chef in Colorado, Colorado being a little more progressive on their health, younger people, more hippie people. I was frustrated when people would come into the restaurant and say, hey, I'm vegan. What can I have for dessert? And I'm like nothing. You can't have anything on my menu because nothing's vegan. Everything has eggs and cream and butter. And it was embarrassing because this was happening more and more. And people coming with celiac disease and this and that. And I remember meeting Chris from Boulder Fruit Exchange. And Chris was the owner of the company, and I met him several times. And he was like, I found out that he ran up Pikes Peak for the fun of it once a year, did the Pikes Peak Marathon. I'm like, dude, you run up that mountain there? Like you run to the top and you run back 14,000 feet up there. You run and run back. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, like, what's your secret? Like, oh no, your secret. Like, what's your secret, right? Because I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan, mostly a raw foodist, a lot of organic, and he went through his diet. I'm like, oh, whoa. So I'm like, I guess there's, and he goes, I can't find places to eat. He goes, so you sell produce to all these restaurants? He goes, there's very few restaurants that I can go actually eat a meal at. He goes, yeah, I sell to all these restaurants, all this organic, local stuff, organic produce. He goes, but, a lot of restaurants just aren't strictly doing a vegan, this and that. He goes, there's a lot of restaurants. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, I don't know anything about, like, cooking vegan. Like, and in reality, I did. But to actually put a meal together, a lot of restaurants still, vegan meal or vegetarian dish is an afterthought, and they basically just throw things together. Especially when you go to like a wedding, a banquet, or something. They're like, okay, I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan. They'll put like pasta together, a little tomato sauce and vegetables, or a baked potato and some steamed vegetables. And years ago, when I worked at the Greenbrier, when somebody would come in for a vegetarian dish, the chef Peter Shetler in the tavern room. If you ever get to Puerto Rico, by the way, Peter has an amazing restaurant in Old San Juan called Marmalade. Really a great mentor of mine for years. So if you ever get to Puerto Rico, Old San Juan, check out Marmalade. Peter Shetler, great restaurant, one of the best restaurants here in Puerto Rico. And when somebody would ask for a vegetarian dish, we would go all out and do this massive, and people would look at me like, man, I'm not vegetarian, but I would totally eat that. And so Chris from Boulder Fruit Exchange, I was like, okay, let me start reading books. And when I worked at the Greenbrier, I remember Marcel Desaulniers came in for dinner. He's the author of The Chocolate to Die For, Death by Chocolate. Death by Chocolate. He wrote Death by Chocolate. Famous pastry chef. I think he worked in Little Washington. So Marcel Desaulniers was in. I was so happy to meet him. I had his books. I actually, when he came in for dinner, when I knew he was coming in for dinner, we saw the reservations. I actually ran home, grabbed his books to bring him back, so I could have him autograph. So we actually sent him out with some complimentary food, and we made this beautiful foie gras course for him, and foie gras being fattened duck liver. And he goes, "I'm sorry, I don't eat this. Thank you for the gesture, this and that. I don't eat this. I'm actually on a very strict diet, or this is what I eat." And he was basically vegetarian, ate a little bit of fish, but vegetarian. And here's the guy who wrote this Death by Chocolate book. He probably wasn't eating anything in the book that he was doing because he was a pastry chef. And then he came as a guest chef to the Greenbrier to do a guest chef dinner as well. He does some of the desserts. So, but a lot of Chris is selling produce, organic produce, and there's very few restaurants that can eat that. So I started reading books and understanding that, hey, there's a lot of that I don't understand about nutrition that I was taught in school. I had a nutrition class in college, Whole semester of nutrition. I probably had more nutrition than doctors have, because doctors only get a few hours an afternoon seminar or something. I had a whole semester of nutrition. I got like a A+ in nutrition. But the nutrition I was taught in culinary school was very different than the nutrition I was about to embark upon and start trying out myself, testing myself, and reading all these books. So I basically, people were like, read Atkins. So somebody actually handed me like the original 1973 book that Atkins wrote, and I read that book. I just started reading book after book after book on all this stuff, and vegetarian, vegan books, gluten-free books, all this kind of stuff. And I just jumped right in and read all these types of books. And myself included, I had lost weight by following a lot of this stuff and cured all of my stuff. Reversed. I don't think you can say cured. I think cured is illegal to use in the terms of the medical field. I relieved myself of a lot of conditions. I was asthmatic for my whole life. I'm probably still considered asthmatic. I just haven't used my inhaler or had an attack since I was 28 years old. That's 20 years. I'm celebrating 20 years of being asthma-free or symptom-free. I'm still sure they have listed as asthmatic, right? It's hard to cure asthma, but I have not had an asthma attack in 20 years since I was 28 years old. I'm 48 now. Did not just put that correlation together. 20 years of being asthma-free. Lowered my cholesterol, lowered my blood pressure, lowered everything across the board when I was 28 by jumping in full force to this diet, this lifestyle. And that's the type of food that we still try to serve here at the restaurant. It's tough, though. It's really tough to make everything truly holistic based, because as soon as you start cooking, as soon as you start, oil is a big detriment to our diet. Oils of all types. Olive oil may be better, maybe one of the better oils, but olive oil is still a processed food, right? You're still extracting it, and once that happens, oxidation happens and the deterioration starts happening. So this is why I'm so strict on olive oil. Buy the best olive oil, store it properly, use it for the proper things. Do not cook with it. That's why I'm so strict on olive oil. Coconut oil is great. But people just think that, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating healthy. And then when we start having a conversation about what they're really eating, they're like, I had no idea. There's hexane gas extracted in the oil I'm cooking at home with. I had no idea that the chickens is soaked in this. I had no idea that all this, sodium, whatever's in this and this and this. I had no idea of all this. So, sorry, my virtual assistant is just sending me some stuff. It gets complicated. It can be a full-time job or hours a week of understanding what you're really eating and going into things and reading books and reading what doctors are doing. If you're truly concerned about your health and you really want to make big changes, pick up a medical doctor's book, who's actually preaching that in his practice, that has proven results, that has written a book that has testimonials and proven results of. Now, people are going to argue keto versus vegan, whatever. Any change you do in your diet is a benefit, and you will benefit from it, right? If you're eating the standard American diet, whether you go keto or whether you go vegan, vegetarian, you're going to benefit because you're eliminating certain things and being conscious. So that's the step in the right direction. And you may need to figure out and maneuver back and forth. I maneuvered back and forth from the Atkins diet to a raw vegan. I went back and forth and kind of figured out what was best for me at the time. And I'm always looking to make improvements on my health, on my diet. It's just, we're in the food world, and the food is always in front of me. And my biggest issue is I eat the right foods at the wrong time and the wrong combinations. Eat too much at night. After we're done with service, sit down and eat. Before the restaurant, I was really strict on. Before we opened the restaurant, I was really strict on eating like my meal by 6 o'clock, 6:30. My heaviest meal at lunch. And then a lighter dinner. I was really super strict on that for digestion and things like that. And I gotta tell you, sometimes I'm drinking baking soda because I just eat too many spicy foods at night. And then you add alcohol on top of it, a couple glasses of wine. So sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm bloated. But what I was eating, I thought was healthy, right? Is what I'm saying to myself. But it's just the wrong time, wrong combinations. And then you add a glass of wine on top, which if you go to most doctors, like, oh yeah, have your wine. It's healthy. 2 glasses of red wine a day is great for you, and this and that. Ideally, it's not great for you. Red wine, white wine, it's not. It might have certain things in it, like certain antioxidants, but it's not great for you like they're saying it's great for you. They might say it's okay for you. It's alcohol. It's really not okay for you. It's alcohol. And when people say, "Oh, my grandmother did this, my grandmother did that," it's alcohol. Your body has an effect on alcohol. It handles alcohol the same way. People justify having 2 glasses of wine by saying, "Well, my doctor said it's okay and it's in moderation," which is fine. If that's the way you're justifying it, that's fine. I know what it's doing, and I'm still having it. I'm not justifying. I'm saying, yeah, I'm having wine, and I know that that it's not good for me. I'm not justifying. I'm saying, yeah, I'm having it, and I'm willing to deal with the consequences of having 2 glasses of wine, 3 glasses of wine, whatever I'm having. So that's the issue, that people justify things and they think they're okay, and they go through life saying, well, I've eaten healthy. Like, well, what is your healthy? What your doctor said, and what you've justified in your mind, and what you picked up at the store, and what you've used from the food pyramid, and this and that. And we've just been misled our whole lives. So if you're going to jump into a program to reverse your health, which it is very, 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 very possible to reverse many, 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 many health ailments. Many health ailments. It's possible to reverse. Your doctor's really not going to show you the way on this. You need to actually go to a retreat. You need to go where your environment is dedicated to your health. Your home kitchen probably isn't dedicated to your health. The local grocery store is not dedicated to your health. The rest of your family members might not be dedicated to your health. So if you check yourself into a place like the Ann Wigmore Institute, if you go to Gabriel Cousins Tree of Life, if you go to any of these great places, you go to any type of these retreats, and even Gary Knoll does these amazing retreats in Texas, like amazing. He's always looking for study groups. Gary Knoll, well, he'll counsel you, he'll coach you, go along. You can join a study. You can even do a study, be part of his study groups from a distance. So you don't have to be at there. He's always looking for people to do studies. You go to a place that the whole environment is for your health. In 2 weeks, you'll be like, oh my gosh, my aches and pains are starting to go away. I can now start running a little bit. I now have more energy. But this is 2 weeks of full immersion into this lifestyle. And a lot of people can't do full immersion at home because the environment's not right. But it is very, very, very possible to reverse many, 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 many of your ailments that are happening. And it happened to me when I was 28. And like I said, I haven't had asthma for 20 years. I've not had an asthma attack. And I was glued to my asthma. So I could not walk out of my house without my asthma inhaler in my pocket. And I could not go anywhere, do anything without puffing that thing 3-4 times a day. And then I would have pneumonia every other year. When I was a kid, my immune system was shot. It was terrible. Asthma, it all goes together. It all goes together. And one of the biggest things I did for my asthma was my digestion, my bowel health. I read a book by Dr. Majid Ali that talked about asthma, and one of the biggest benefits to reversing asthma was going through proper bowel management, which included colonics and cleanses, and I did that. Jamie did the same exact thing, and he claims that asthma can stem from a poor bowel. And the first time you mentioned, sometimes people hear about colonics, like, oh no, I'd never do that, never do that. Highly beneficial, highly beneficial. I'm a huge fan of them for years, and proper bowel health. There's a way to abuse them and do too much, of course, but there's, I set myself up for success way back then, because I was really, like, this is terrible what's happening to me at 28 years old, because I'm eating the food. And if you sign up for our email list, and one of the emails that automatically goes out to you in a few days is, I was killing you. I was killing you. I was eating this food, and I was cooking this food. I was cooking the food that I was eating the food that I was cooking for guests at the Greenbrier, at the Broadmoor, at all these places I worked at. And this food was killing me, and it was killing the people. Just a slow death with this rancid food. And back then there wasn't even really much to do about GMOs back in the mid 90s. I remember in 99, 2000, I stood in the green market in Colorado in Cherry Hill, Cherry Creek, somewhere there. And us chefs were there getting petitions signed. We had to label GMOs in the state of Colorado. And people were at an organic market and they wouldn't even sign it back then. They're like, no, why would I sign that? And they're sitting there buying organic produce and they won't sign a petition to have GMOs labeled. Boulder County was like, I think, one of the very first progressive counties in our country to actually ban GMOs from farming and things like that. But we were there. I was on the front lines in these farmers markets with other chefs caring about our food supply back in 1999, 2000. And it was tough to get signatures back then about this, and it might be today too, because there's so much propaganda about GMOs and how they're going to save the world, and we need this technology, we need that technology, and this and that. And now Bill Gates is the largest farm landowner in the country. And it's no secret that he's pushing for plant-based proteins, because he thinks plant-based proteins are the way of the future, which plant protein is a great future for us, but not if you're GMOing it and extracting it and processing it highly and doing all these kinds of things to it. Then it's really food that's not recognizable by your body. So, folks, I've been on for a full hour now. I have a lot of fun when I get on here for an hour, so thank you everybody for your comments. Marianne, good for you, Marcus, on your healthy journey. Great to hear your story. Been studying allopathic for years. It's shocking, the info that it's kept from us, unless we make the decision to see beyond the surface. Great point. See beyond the surface. Do your own research. Do both sides. You really can't debate or argue a point until you know both sides. You must know both sides to debate. So if you have a strong point in something, and you're going to defend it, you should be able to role play and switch sides and be able to go back and forth. And if you understand both sides and then pick a side, then that's true research. That is totally true research. But just to say I've done research because you've watched the news, or you've been onto, let's just say, the FDA website or USDA website, and USDA says GMOs are fine, you should probably go watch some documentaries on GMOs, the lack of studies on GMOs, what's happened in India with GMOs, and just all up. You should probably watch the other side so you can argue back and forth on both sides about GMOs. All right, so, or whatever topic it is, keto versus meat-based diet versus veganism. You should be able to argue both sides, because a lot of us, and this is psychology based. Oh, Marianne saying Majah, she went to him. You went to him personally. Awesome. Max Gerson, of course. Gerson, yep. I don't know Nick Gonzalez, but Max Gerson, absolutely. I believe that's from the Gerson therapy, correct? So you should be able to argue both sides. You should be able to argue both sides. And understand both sides. So whether it's veganism, whether it's whatever, psychology-based marketing. We do a lot of psychology-based marketing when we coach other restaurants on marketing. It's psychology. It's like, how do you get people's mind to like something and sort of make them, because our minds are very pliable, really pliable, right? Super pliable, and they take advantage of this. Everybody, the food manufacturers, the government, they take advantage of how they can mold us. So where was I going with this? So psychology, we basically see the things we want to see and paint the picture we want to paint, and then most of us stop there, and there's nothing beyond that point of, I heard this doctor say that veganism is bad, or I heard that you need meat protein, or I heard you need this, or I heard that meat protein's bad for you, and this. So they'll stop at one thing, and that's it, and they can't reverse that role and argue both sides and go back and forth to both sides. And I'm guilty of it too, right? Because when it's something that I like, but at least I'm conscious saying, hey, I need to research both sides. And as a young chef, I went through all the diets. I read all the diets. I read all these doctors, and I tried to do as much as I possibly could. And I tried the Atkins diet. I tried raw veganism. So I know what worked best for me. I know exactly what worked best for me, and I'll be right up front with you. Raw veganism. To be a raw vegan, high carb raw vegan, was the best. I was in the best shape of my life, running super ultra marathons, 50 miles at a time, running 80 miles a week, massive amounts of energy. The weight came off, and I had done Atkins. I'd done Atkins very, very strict, and I'd done that when I was in Colorado. And myself, I did it with my sous chef. I felt terrible. I felt terrible. Lack of energy, the odors that was coming out of my body, the acne that was forming on my face. And the one person that gave me that book from 1973, she worked for me in the kitchen, and her husband owned a health food store. And she's like, just keep following the diet. Keep following the diet, Marcus. So she's telling me and Franco, just keep following the diet. Keep following the diet. Keep following the diet. Keep doing it. Make sure you follow it. Make sure you follow it. I'm like, how many more pimples can I get? Like, how much more odor can I get? How much more lethargic can I get? Like, and yeah, the weight was starting to come off, but I was like, this is just like I feel terrible. And on the reverse side, when I started doing raw vegan, I was like, whoa, like I'm alert. Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm not raw vegan right now. I haven't been for years. I do eat fish. I do eat some dairy. I eat very little meat. I'll taste meat here and there. I'll taste what's on our menu. And sometimes I'll say, you know what, I feel like a grass-fed steak, and I'm going to have a grass-fed steak. And I do. I try to be conscious to make sure I'm not combining potatoes or rice with it. And a lot of times, like the other day, I just had a bowl of quinoa and some tofu and a lot of vegetables. I ate this beautiful vegan dish yesterday that was just amazing, or 2 days ago. Michelle made it for me in the kitchen. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so like filling and awesome and great. And so I do eat a varied amount of foods now, but I do have one focus, and that's basically pescatarian. I do eat certain fish. I like salmon. I like our salmon, our wild Alaskan salmon. And I know if I'm going to eat cheese or meat, or I just have to, I try to push it away from other foods. So food combining. So, all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Been on longer than I wanted to be today, but I have fun doing this. And of course, I got on early, so I got plenty of time. And a lot of you are tuning in the whole time, so I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate the support a lot. I'm just going to say goodbye on Instagram over here. Don't have anybody over there, so end that now. Share to IGTV, so you can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us, of course, here as well. So, all right, folks. Have an amazing day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And that's it for now. Jamie will be on later, I think, doing her live maybe about 4 o'clock. We open at 5 o'clock today. Ellenville Streets. I'm not sure what's happening. I can't make any promises of the streets are going to be closed or open for dining this weekend. I just don't know. I know the weather's not supposed to be favorable for it. I'm all for pushing it off to another weekend, next weekend or the weekend after when it gets warmer. In a month from now, it won't even be an issue because it'll be warm out, and we'll be shucking oysters out there and doing all kinds of fun things. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.